today we're going to respond to your questions and answers from my video from about a week ago, asking for you guys to send me through some questions. And this is going to be pretty exciting. So it looks like I maybe had 20 to 25 so far. I'm probably going to break this up into maybe 3 or 4 videos. I'll see how it goes and spread them out as bonus videos over the next couple of weeks. But we'll go through the first 5 now. So I'll read them from my phone and put them up on screen. Now, the first question is from S Macintosh JC9RF. He says, "Hi Dan, all I can say is that I really respect your investigative skills. You are now must viewing for me. Best wishes, Peter." Now, obviously, I'm very grateful and thankful that you've said that. I really appreciate the kind words. I will say one thing. You're probably giving me too much credit when it comes to investigative skills. Some of the stuff I do a lot of the work on my own, but most of the things people, DMing me or sending me emails. So I think the credit needs to go back to you guys as the viewers, the wider community, for, sort of keeping an eye out for this kind of stuff, because that's essentially what we need at the end of the day. I'm not anyone special. I'm just a voice for the people wanting to raise things or have things talked about to make the hobby a little bit better. Now, some people don't like that, but I think, it's a pretty good thing and something that needs to be done. And, without your guys' support, that's not going to happen, right? So sort of want everyone to still be, monitoring this sort of stuff, pushing back on this kind of stuff when you do see it. And if you think I can help with anything, drop it down in the comments below, or even send me an email, which is down in the description. But like I said, without the support of you guys, it wouldn't get done. I feel like, yes, I can talk to things from my own unique perspective, but at the end of the day, a lot of the work is done by the community, and you guys are the ones that deserve, the pat on the back, not me. So the next question is from AOH Sports, which is basically him saying, "Why are people jelly of your success?" I don't know. I think you just get haters as things go. I'm sure you've seen it a lot too. I don't think people are maybe jealous, or haven't seen anyone that looks like they're jealous or anything like that. I just don't think people like me, and it just comes down to how things work. At the end of the day, a lot of people, I think the vast majority, seem to enjoy my content, which I'm thankful for, obviously, but it is what it is. And I think one of those things I will say, there's a lot of people that sort of get on a soapbox and will push back, and they'll basically crap on you or shit on you for doing certain things. And my perspective has always been, well, if you think like that, you get on a camera and do something yourself, right? You talk to the camera yourself, and number one, see how challenging it can be at the start, especially, when you first get going, because it can be a little bit intimidating and you can be a little bit shy, like I was in particular. But it's not as easy as people make it think. And if you think you can do better, go ahead and do it. Now, I'm not going to put people down for not feeling comfortable enough to want to try and do it. But if you want to sort of come on and talk shit about someone or push back against someone, will you come out and you put out, multiple videos per week, not one once a month or something along those lines, or not one at all, right? Because it's basically down to the saying, put your money where your mouth is. And again, you're always going to have haters. It sort of is what it is. I don't let it impact me too much. YouTube, I've said before, is just a bit of fun for me. I don't do it for the money or fame or anything like that. I literally do it because I want to help the community. A lot of people think I'm BSing when I say that, but I don't really care. It's what I do, right? So I know myself and I know what I'm saying is true. So that's all that sort of matters to me on that one. Now, the next comment is from Eddie C818. "What's up, Dan? Which PC card in your collection took you the longest to get, be it for scarcity or price of card?" I had to cut the video there because I had to get a piece of paper. You'll see why in a second. But straight off the bat, I'll quickly say that a lot of the stuff that I do want is game use stuff, and it's the high-end stuff because that's what I like. I just like the fact that you have really filthy patches that are game used on card autos and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of it is really expensive, which is why I sort of don't chase it. So I sort of keep it as a pipe dream. A lot of my focus is on a lot more of the affordable cards and stuff like Flawless Soccer over here, which would be considered high-end, but it's really affordable compared to US sports, like crazily affordable. So for the most part, there is not too much that I'm chasing that I can't actually get because a lot of it is affordable. But from something that's very scarce, it would be this Dragon Ball Z card over here. So this is from Dragon Ball Z Art Box Series 4. It's a clear card. It's a chase card from the hobby boxes. And the reason why I said I had to cut the camera to get the piece of paper was because they're clear and they show up really cool once you've got a piece of paper behind them that's white. But they're pretty rare. That one sells for a lot of money, probably about, on average, like $150 to $400 USD, if not more. And like I said, they only showed up in hobby boxes. So that one took me a long time to try and chase. They don't show up for sale very often because the image is so cool. So I've managed to find one actually in a lot with other cards. And I was very fortunate because I'm really good at spotting things within lots. And I've done videos on this in the past, but I basically got this card funded for free because I sold everything else within the lot, which is pretty awesome. But in terms of the other clear cards, you have this is number 2, which is the Goku. Number 3, which is the Trunks. And then the other really cool one, which is the Super Saiyan Vegeta. This one doesn't show up very often either, but the 3 Saiyans one is super rare, even though they're all the same odds within the packs. You just don't see them often. And like I said, they only show up in hobby boxes. There are 4 clear cards in total. You get 2 on average per box, but like I said, they don't show up often. And I've busted like 3 or 4 boxes, and I've always gotten these ones, the Goku and the Trunks, but I actually got one of these ones recently, which is pretty cool. So I have 2 Vegetas. I'm going to send them off to get graded because they are pretty rare. Whilst they made a lot of those boxes, it seems, not many of them are still around because kids obviously didn't look after them all that well. And their clear cards also show up quite damaged some of the time. So that Triple Saiyan one is probably the rarest card that I own in the grand scheme of things. Outside of, I've got 1-of-1s and things like that on this shelf, but you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. 1-of-1, sports card shop, often something like that. I've only ever seen, I want to say 2 listed on eBay in the last 2 years. And maybe I've missed some, but I've only ever seen 2. So I'm very happy to have that. And I've got the full base set for that card collection as well. Now, the next question is, what would you do if you had a chance to get the bad apples out of the hobby? This is from Chris C4264. And he says, and I mean not just the toxic influencers / shield bidders. I'm talking about big fish like Golden. In my opinion, this hobby will never reach full potential because of the lack of rules, transparency, and accountability. Not to mention the fact you have a mega monopoly ruining everything now. And I think this is sort of an easy one for me to answer. I've talked to it before. The one thing I would do is make sure that these businesses uplift their risk appetite, uplift their whole risk management process, because you see a lot of mistakes happen in this industry and they're quite amateur, especially when it comes to graders and manufacturers. They make a lot of very basic mistakes, and that paints a very clear picture to me. I think the saying that I've always used is, you had this hobby basically be a hobby, and you've had businesses be around, and yes, they turned over a lot of revenue and all that kind of thing. But when you look at how things operated, the hobby didn't have a whole lot of money in it. But the market, the hobby you're looking at right now has multi-million-dollar cards consistently, right? You have hundreds of thousands of dollars of cards basically being sold like never before. So their offerings to us as customers now needs to match the money that they're charging us and the amount of money that's within the hobby, and that's not there yet. I feel like a lot of these businesses are lagging with where they should be. So if I had the opportunity to sort of fix the industry, that's the stuff I'd be targeting. I'd be making sure that these guys do third-party audits, which is not mandatory for anyone that's not listed. So they should be going ahead and doing those and making that information public knowledge. They should be more transparent when it comes to mistakes that a grader makes or a manufacturer makes, right? All this stuff, in aggregate, elevates the hobby and starts giving us better value as customers. And that's the stuff that needs to get fixed. And that's basically what I would be trying to fix if I had the opportunity. So I think that's a really good question. I think one that the hobby just needs to be better at in general. And the sort of easiest way that we can actually action things to be better is to push back on things that we see. Tell their customer support, reach out, make videos, talk about it with people at shows, talk about it online, and eventually you get responses like we saw with the whole Tops and Fanatics thing. Mark Rubin coming out and saying they did an audit, right? That wouldn't have happened 12, 18 months ago if people like myself, AOH Sports, Sports Card Radio, and many, many others didn't talk about loaded boxes, right? So whilst these businesses might not fix it themselves, with enough pressure from us as customers, eventually they will, which I think is really important. But like I said, that's what I would try and do to fix the hobby in general, because I think if you fix risk appetite, to get these guys to do audit, to get them to uplift their processes internally, all the stuff that we see when it comes to grading errors, shield bidding, all that kind of thing is fixed by that. At least maybe not 100%, but some of it will be. And I think some is better than none. So keen to hear what you guys have to say about that one. So the last comment for this one is from Jedi J Collecting 9995. He basically asks, how's the weather? Weather's pretty bad at the moment. We've got torrential rain going on. He then goes on to say, I would like to open up my eBay sales to Australia, describe shipping and how that may affect sales. So I think it's a pretty good question. I think where a lot of sellers go wrong internationally when they're shipping to Australia is they'll use the default eBay International, the global shipping program, or whatever it's called now. And that works out to be incredibly expensive. It works out to take a heck of a long time. I think on average, when I used to use that before, ship my card, it used to take like 4 weeks on average to get a card, and they'd charge me like $60 USD, and that would be mandated by eBay, right? The seller couldn't do that. So as a seller, if you want to sort of maximize sales to Australia, I think you just need to use, a service manually, go to the, FedEx or USPS or something along those lines to get it shipped to, Australia or even Europe. Doesn't matter where you're sending it. Just don't use the eBay global shipping program because they rip customers off. And the big issue with that as well is tracking is also quite poor with that process. So you don't see it update very often. And I've had so many packages that get lost. There's a few, like Dragon Ball Z stuff that I bought back in the day that was lost, and then I got a refund from the seller, and then it showed up again, 3 or 4 weeks later, and it was like, well, this thing took 2 months to arrive. Tell eBay then refund the seller, and I get to keep the product and my money, so it worked out quite okay for me. But it's quite unfortunate when stuff like that happens, and I think that turns off many sellers from shipping overseas when it shouldn't be that complex, right? Use FedEx. FedEx rates are not that bad. Ship My Cards charge me $60 USD for a stack of cards. For one card, it doesn't work out to be that expensive. And yes, it's more onus on you as a seller in the US to be doing that kind of stuff and not letting it be managed by eBay. The one thing I will say is Aussies are prepared to pay top dollar for cards, right? We often have people pay ridiculous amounts of money because they don't want to use Ship My Cards. They don't want to, buy from overseas. So what will often happen is people will have really big arbitrage opportunities. They'll buy a $100 card in the US and sell it for $300 here in Australia, purely because we're dumb and people don't want to buy from international because of the whole shipping thing that I just explained. So if sellers like yourself can make it a bit more clear cut, make it a bit more affordable, but maintain things like tracking and secure packaging, you're going to get a lot more people buying from you from Australia and from other countries, in my opinion, because like I said, the eBay global shipping program is trash. And for all those poor sellers that sold me those things that were lost for, weeks up to months, end up getting their money back, sure. But some people wouldn't have communicated that back to eBay like I did. And they would have been out of pocket for the item and out of pocket for the money, which is, a terrible thing to happen. So again, do it the right way. Don't use global shipping program. And I think everybody benefits off the back of that. Now, I think we'll sort of leave it there for this Q&A video. I think I'll do 5 per video. We just talk through 5 comments. I'll talk through the rest in the next few videos over the next few weeks. Like I said at the start, these will be bonus videos that I'll trickle in every now and then to give you guys some insight. But I hope you liked it. Let me know if you have any other questions and I can ask those in a future Q&A. So drop those down below. And as always, I appreciate you guys. I'm really thankful for all the support. I'm really thankful for the questions and I look forward to many more in the future. So cheers.